Hello, welcome back to Doing Bart Things, and man, um, so today, real quick update on how my build's going. Got it all together. It's pretty cool looking. Actually, let me see. Maybe I'll. Sorry, manipulating things on the screen here. Let's see if I can just take you guys for a ride over here and show it to you. So, don't mind all the stuff in the way, but here it is. Godzilla's chilling out down there. That's the burning Godzilla. And you can see it's all put together. Reminder, that's a 3080 for the Win Edition. Z790 Tomahawk motherboard. 32 gigs of 6000 DDR5 and one 14900K underneath a Lian Li Trinity 2 AIO. Okay, so initial impressions. Case is pretty cool. I do like the layout of the case is decent, I would say. It does come with some sacrifices. I think I'm just manipulating this here so that way we can get a look at this in a second. I think that I don't know if I can. Well, here, I'll make myself smaller, and I'll grab this guy here. Okay, so what was I saying? I like the case. It's a weird layout, and I'm not sure, like the upgradability of like fans and stuff is a bit worse than I anticipated. You can put a lot of fans in it, but the, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, the water cooling potential is, I think, going to be a little limited. You're probably not going to fit another radiator in the front. Maybe if it was a 240, you might have a shot at it, but not so much, any other like CPU cooler. Or if you had a GPU that had a water cooler on it, like an AIO, MSI. What is it? MSI Supreme 4090 comes to mind. The one that has the 240 mil radiator on it. Probably not going to work in there. But it does look nice. It does flow a decent amount of air. I haven't added all the fans in there, which is another issue I've got is for this kind of setup, I would have much preferred if it would have actually come with the 140s in the floor or at least the exhaust fan in the rear. So I'm now looking at maybe buying 3 more fans, possibly. So that's kind of irritating. The build itself went reasonable. It is not of an unreasonable size, the case. It, like I said, aesthetically I appreciate it. Maybe a little bit bland for some, but I thought it was pretty good. So, having said that, let's talk about the 14900K. Holy moly. So if you look down here at this chart below, this is hardware info. And it is like, well, if you can see, some of these cores have pinged off of 100C. And I was like, man, why are these things just going crazy? And you look, this thing's drawing 355 watts. That is crazy. I had no idea that it would get to that. I thought maybe it'd break 300 watts. I didn't think I could get near 355 watts or even 360 watts. I don't see how any AIO or air cooler is supposed to keep up with that. That is complete custom water cooling territory. It feels a little bit weird. I could probably tame that, but now I'm sitting there going, So I paid a lot of money to get a high-end CPU that I am now going to have to tame to extract, because, I mean, frankly, I don't have a very big room here. And I'm kind of worried now about turning it into a sauna. Having a relatively mid-range to high-end video card is not going to help that situation. We live in Texas here, so I'm a little bit concerned about what summertime is going to bring for this machine. Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. I'm almost having a little bit of regret that I didn't go with the AMD machine, because it would have pulled considerably less power. Which, I could have saved some money because I could have gotten a smaller power supply. Maybe gone with a less extreme cooling solution. Wouldn't need as many fans, like the whole thing, right? So that's something to consider. That's not an insignificant amount of power. That is nearly 200 more watts than what the AMD system I would probably end up putting together pulls. Even on the high end, it's 100 to 150 watts more than that. So this thing is no joke. Like, it absolutely, it crushes. Like, it absolutely crushes. If I can find the benchmarks, I will share that with you. Give me one sec. Should have been more prepared for this video when I started it. I apologize for that and appreciate you guys hanging in there. Let's look this up. Whale. I'm gonna try. But it absolutely, it destroyed the 5800X, which was no surprise. Well, no, I can't find it right now. I've got a new pair of glasses, so that's not helping me. Right at this second. Let's see. Oh wait, I know where it's at. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, so I got this pulled up. Let me share this window. Which window is it? Come on now. There we go. Okay, here we go. So hopefully you guys can see that okay. Make it maybe a little bigger. All right. So to give you an idea, right? So the 5800X scored 16,260 in 3D Mark. This is TimeSpy. The 14900K scored 18,126 and 23,619 CPU score. It Rampage didn't get as good a graphics score. And if you go down the line, the Cinebench R23 is the funny one, where it doubled. It actually more than doubled the 5800X. Single core, it just crushed the 5800X into the ground. Really won big time in Shadowbringers, which is not that big of a surprise. Unigine, what's funny is that's pretty much just a graphics, a GPU benchmark, so it didn't really make any difference, which is something I want to see. Now, these are synthetic marks, obviously. These are not indicative of necessarily gameplay. I fooled around with it a little bit in Diablo 4. Temps and stuff kind of crept up. And yeah, it's just an AC beater. So I don't know. Like, I'm not sure I'm totally satisfied with this. It is a world-beating CPU, 100%. I just think to use all of its potential, you have to either decide to leave some on the table if you are not using some very extreme cooling, or you have to be ready for things bouncing off 100 degrees C all the time. Now, I know that the 7000 series Ryzen chips kind of have a similar dilemma in a way. They just their temperature just bounces off 95 C, I think is what their max is rated, and they will use every last bit of thermal headroom they can to clock up underneath that. But it's different. Like, they're rated for 170 watts, and I think even overclocked, they end up pulling maybe 200 watts. This is significantly over that. That's pretty crazy. Now, I know that that's under like a Cinebench situation, but just generally speaking, this thing releases a ton of heat. And I think that combined with the GPU might be more than I want to introduce into this little room I'm sitting in, because it'll raise the temperatures up substantially. And this is kind of like my place to have solace, and it's not a sauna. So that's pretty crazy. It's just crazy that it can. I mean, I don't think I've got that bad of a mount. I could remount it, put some more thermal paste on it. I mounted it a couple times just to try and get a good one. That is nuts, oh man. That is nuts. So, I mean, what are my alternatives? Well, I really was thinking, I'm hearing good things about Zen 5. All the leaks and things I've heard is that Zen 5 is coming along really well. I like to tweak with things. So there's a little part of me that wants to maybe save a little bit of money, go get a Ryzen system, motherboard and CPU. They got a combo for $599, so I think I'd get $100 back. I don't think I would notice any difference really performance-wise in gaming, which is the main thing I do. Or just other stuff. I mean, I typically don't do a giant render, and even if I did, like, I couldn't imagine running this thing at full tilt for a prolonged period of time. It would just, again, like I said, it would just turn the inside of this room into a sauna. So that may be something I go look at. Plus, this was a lot of money. I think I spent almost $1,900 on getting this set up, minus the video card. And I think it would be not a bad move to maybe recoup some of that, because part of the mission was to build my daughter a machine, and I was going to use my old case, and she didn't like the color of it. So that's a dumb reason, but that's one thing. I do kind of want her to just have what she wants. Let me put it to you this way. Those kids have had a rough 4 or 5 years, and I kind of want them all to sort of get something that they really want. And she was totally great. She's totally grateful to get a hand-me-down machine. She's like, hell yeah, like, I'll take your hand-me-down stuff. Her request is more aesthetically, and she wanted, I've got a white spare case in the garage, but she wanted black, so maybe something to consider. Anyway, having said that, the thing rocks. Like, it absolutely performs. It's just, at what cost? and I know, like, I think it's Frame Chasers. He says don't be electricity poor. It's not just electricity poor. It's, I don't want to start sweating in my undies because I got this machine. It's it's one thing to say, well, I want to compete and have the best of the best. I just don't think that's necessary. I've got a 1440p screen. It's rated for 175 hertz, and it's 3440 by 1440p. And yeah, I think this is just potentially too much overkill. So I'm gonna have to make a decision and go with that. But it is a hell of a lot of fun to ramp up. It's just I don't, outside of custom water cooling, I don't see how on a sustained load you keep this thing in check. It is gnarly how much power this uses, and it will use all of it. Like it makes no bones. Really interesting thing. So anyway, very well. I will end this video on that note. I will give further updates. I think, yeah, I'm not sure. I like the case. I'm not happy about all the extra fans. So I got to figure out kind of how I want to proceed. The AIO I like. Yeah, just, I don't know. Like there's just, the system just doesn't feel kind of what I was going for, and there's just a lot of little things I can't quite put my hands around to make all the sense as to why. I've built this giant beast, and now having a little bit of like, more than it's a lot. The other thing is, just again, like the little tidbits, it makes me want to spend more money on it, and I kind of want it to be done. Like, okay, well, I need some more fans. Maybe I need to get a contact frame. Maybe I need to get this, that, and the other. And I'm kind of at the wit's end of my budget for reforming my machine, so to speak. And so that's what's kind of got me thinking, oof, but I will let you guys know what ends up happening. Really cool, really fun to play with. I don't want to sound like I'm not blown away by its performance. I am. It's sort of like, I needed something that gets good gas mileage, and I bought a Camaro, basically. And I did it because the deal was really good. Like I felt like the deal was a good value for money to get basically the fastest CPU out there, and it is. Like there's no question that it pretty much is top of the line in the all-around category. The 7800 X3D does give it a run for its money in gaming, which maybe is the CPU I should have tried to get my hands on, because that would be way, way more power efficient, wouldn't generate as much heat, so I could scale back on the power supply, those kind of things, and would deliver a really good gaming performance. There's a lot of things called the AM dip, and some issues with XRD, but I'm just not competing. I'm just not I game for fun. My 5800X was awesome. Never really had any issue with it at all, and I think something like that. The key is AM5. Getting up to AM5. If I don't like the CPUs now, I could buy a really low-end 7000 series CPU and then get myself a Zen 5 next year and sell it potentially. Zen 5 is going to, or should, slot right into any AM5 socket motherboard and should operate accordingly. So anyway, so yeah, that's why I was kind of browsing around. Got this would be cheaper than what I've got. I'd get more RAM out of it. Similar, if not, good enough CPU performance. I mean, 7900X is a pretty beastly CPU. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of on the fence now about how I want to handle this, but yeah, so good times. Yeah, so I guess my simple review of the 14900K is it will do anything you want really fast, and it will heat your home. There you go. there's my common sense review. I honestly would suggest for a normal system, I would suggest the 14600K, the 14700K, or go AMD. The 14900K, yeah, it just I don't like the extent you'd have to go to tame it. And when I say 14600K, 14700K, the 12 that I think that kind of goes for the 12th gen and 13th gen as well. The 12th gen, the 12900K, I think is pretty tameable. You can deal with it. Its temperatures didn't seem as bad as this. 13900K, yeah. It's kind of in the same boat, I think, as this 14900K. Which, incidentally enough, they're both 8 performance core, 16 efficiency cores, if I recall correctly. So that would make sense. And then the 14700K and 13700K are 8 and 12 efficiency cores, and then you have the 13600 and 14600K, which are not the same. So they've got like 6 performance cores and 4 and 8 efficiency cores or something like that. So I think for just daily drivers, like those lower core count chips are just better. I think they serve you better. They require less cooling. So anyway, all right. Well, that's it. I'm gonna end this video. Thoughts, comments, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next one, and I will keep you updated on how this build goes.